fit, better rewards, more impact. So it's a big problem within sort of this tech industry. Again, when people leave, 50 to 125% of their salary might be required to cover the cost of their replacement. That might be by not having someone and the impact it's having on the business, or having to use a recruiter to find a replacement, and then also additional salaries as well. 80% of turnover can relate to bad hiring decisions, when people hire too fast and when there's a lack of purpose. A lot of this can also be due to not hiring people with the right cultural fit and values aligned. And I think from my experience, when I've worked with sort of early stage businesses, they don't have a HR person. They've not necessarily come from a people background, and this can be one of the last things that they think about, and almost sort of just going, okay, we need someone on board to achieve our business plans and get us to that next stage. But actually, what is that long-term impact on the overall business? And as I said before, you can have the best business idea and product, but if you don't have the right people on board, it's going to be very hard to achieve success. So have you guys seen any specific elements in a great startup team previously? Any examples of sort of what you think works well? It'd be good if you speak up or put it in the chat. Nothing? Not seen anything good?
Anyone has any ideas to share, like what you think makes a great team in general? Forget about startup team, like what makes a great team?
Yeah, worked together before. Yeah, I think especially very sort of early stage businesses, it's great if you can find your maybe co-founders, and that, you know, where you have worked before, you already have that element of trust. And typically your values are aligned. As you start growing, it is more difficult to find people, you know, through your network and that you have worked before, and also being very conscious that you also diversify on the people that you're bringing in. We typically bring in people and hire people that we like, that actually have a very similar personality to ourselves, which is very different to their actual values. And again, that's open to new ideas from others. If you bring people on with the same personality, you tend to think the same way, which actually hinders innovation. So it's really important to bring on people that are different to yourself. Balance skills, yeah, a lot in startup business. Great. So the key elements to build a high-performing team. So job profiles, really important that you actually look at what capabilities that you have and that you need, what are you missing, what are your gaps, and also culture and values. And then I'm just going to take the chat down because I can't see. Also reward as well. So how do you compensate and reward your employees? So job profiles. How well you build a team as a primary founder can define the future success of your entire startup. Bringing people on who aren't going to make impact and add value is obviously going to hinder you from your growth plans, but also you might be missing out on key skills that you need and that can accelerate your growth. So first of all, we talked about balancing skills. Well, balance hard and soft skills. So you also need people, apart from the technical ability and their previous experience, you need to look at the soft skills. So things maybe as people management, you know, anything that's kind of transferable. Maybe it's they're a great team player, and making sure that you have a balance of all this in the business. You don't want too many people who maybe are people managers and really have a mix within there. Yeah, here hard skills are defined as team members' experience, while soft skills are about members' passion and common vision. So again, yes, your values will be aligned, but you might have other soft skills that you can bring to the table. Considerable experience of team members will lead to a greater performance, but again, only if they have the same vision and goals. So I keep stressing on this vision and goals and values, but it's so important that you do pay attention to this and put some time in to really make sure that people are aligned with who you are and who the business is and what you do. Otherwise, you could get someone with, 10 years experience within Google or sort of a leading business that's maybe a competitor of yours, but it doesn't mean that they're going to have that impact, and there could be more of a detrimental effect moving forward. Even if team members share the same vision, but if their communication skills are poor, or if they aren't willing to resolve conflicts or prioritize collaboration over their egos, nothing will work out. Keep all of this in mind before and when you gather a team. So culture and values, I think I've talked enough about sort of why this is important, and why you need to sort of spend some time. So I guess I just want to go into more detail here as into what are yours. So why do you guys work in a startup? Does anyone want to speak or sort of chat about what it is that you enjoy about working for a startup and why you do it rather than a corporate?
It's fast paced and you feel like you're making a real difference.
Good. Any other reasons from anyone? So most people, it is, you want to have an impact. You're very impact driven. You like fast paced. The difference obviously with a startup versus corporate is that you don't have that red tape and those processes and frameworks in place that might be restricting. However, it's not for everyone, and it also takes a certain mindset to work in a startup as well. Oh, money. I don't know who wrote that one. Money is the end goal, I would say, but I don't necessarily know if money is the driving factor at the very beginning. A lot of people do take pay cuts for, I guess, a longer term reward, and obviously that impact and satisfaction. But yeah, hopefully everything is a success, and then there is money at the end of it. Okay, why does your team work in your startup? So I know that we've got various different size teams here, but do any of you have any idea of whether people that you have hired want to work for you? Oh, okay, well I skipped that one by accident, so I will move on anyway. So what goes into your startup's company culture? So it really starts from top down. If founders and leaders aren't demonstrating the values and culture of the business, it's never going to filter down. So how you role model your vision is super important. How you treat people, what your behavior shows people is really important. It doesn't matter what you say, if you don't follow it up with the right actions, people will not feel aligned with what you're doing. How you challenge and support people, especially these days, is really critical. I think since the pandemic, more people are looking for that kind of support, and not necessarily security as such, but to know that they are valued and cared for. How you show you care or don't care, again, can impact your culture and also your personality. People like people at the end of the day. So if you don't show your personality or give a bit away about you to your team, they won't be as engaged as they could be. The benefits of a good culture fit. So a strong foundation. When you start building that culture, you start attracting and retaining the best talents. So an authentic, engaging and impactful culture. A lot more these days, especially sort of, I guess, the younger generation, millennials, Generation Z, whatever you want to call them, they really are very impact driven, and they want to join companies because they believe in the mission. So by looking at this culture and creating this foundation, you're starting to attract some of the best talent as well. Your operating system, so direct behavior and decision making, facilitating speed and providing less need for overt management and control, and purpose. So having a purpose that's defined and also shared throughout your culture and your talent branding will really aid self-selection and help employees find purpose in their work, which is increasingly important these days as well.
Yeah, Danny, I have a question. Well, we can go about building a fantastic culture at our organization and really lay the foundations of it. How do you go out there in the market and sell your company on the basis of the culture? How do you get the word out about your culture?
So I'll go into more detail about this in a couple more slides. We really start putting all of this together to create a talent brand. Talent brand is probably the new way of saying employer brand, and really kind of focuses on, what your culture is, how is that embedded, why would people want to join your business? The demand for talent these days, especially within certain skill sets, is so high. And if, why would they want to join your business over another? We start building this whole talent brand piece, which basically shows your company what your culture is, what your foundation is, what your purpose is, what it's like to work. And I'll go into more detail about sort of how you can look at doing that as well in the next few slides. Does that answer your question, Rishabh?
Yep.
Good. The cost of poor culture fit to the individual. So again, it's not just about what the cost, I guess, of I call it a bad hire is to the business, but also, how does it impact the individual if, they've left one company to join your company and they're just not the right fit. It really makes them less effective in their role, so 82%. Performance starts suffering, disharmony amongst other staff. So one thing about hiring wrong individual is that they can be quite negative in the environment and in the company, and this naturally just gets filtered down to other staff, which can increase sort of employee turnover as well. They are less influential, they feel isolated, and as I said before, they lead other colleagues to resign. So it really does have an impact on not only the business, but in the individual. I'm not saying that this individual is not good in their job. They're very, very talented. You wouldn't have hired them otherwise. But because it's not the right environment for them, they don't thrive. So it's really important that you do find those individuals that thrive in your environment. And this is why you have to start defining what your culture is, what your values are right now. They will change over time. So typically they should be reassessed every sort of 4 to 5 years. And as you go through different stages of growth with the company, your values from day one might not be the same as they are sort of, when you're 100, 200 people. And also it might not have filtered down as well. So it is really important that this is constantly addressed throughout the growth of your business, but it needs to start now as well. I guess sort of I've gone here into a bit of explanation of just how you do culture design and what methodology you can kind of look at to go through this process. And there are experts that do this for companies as well, or it can be things that you can look at with your founding team to do yourselves as well. So first of all, you need to design and define your mission and purpose and what that looks like. Then you also need to go through your personal work values. So as an individual, why do you come to work? What is it that drives you? What are your what attributes contribute to that? And then define the company values. So again, this is more done as a team and the people that you have on board already. What drives each individual, and then you can create your own company values, which then can be used throughout everything to attract, retain and develop talent, and can be used in your talent branding as well. Oh, sorry, that was too far. And you need to embed this across key people processes, have iconic actions and ways of working, create a culture playbook so that, when you bring on new onboarders and new joiners, that there is a defined culture as well and a defined playbook for it, and then evolve and iterate as well. Sort of, as I said, this needs to keep changing every few years. It's not going to stay the same, and the quicker you grow and the more you grow, the more you will need to go through this again. Any questions so far on the culture and values side of things? Anyone? No? Okay. A little bit about the science behind the method. This has all come from a lot of people that study psychology and really kind of looking at the people analytics side of things. But work values, just to kind of explain, how they differ from personality. We all have a personality, and as I said, we like to hire people that typically have a similar personality to us, because we all like them. But that's not actually what your values are. So your values describe what is important to us at work. They are a key to understanding the satisfaction people find when they feel that they fit in a particular workplace. And again, this will make up your team. Sorry, it's just not on another one. Yeah. Sorry, someone just came into the room. It's key to understanding, why people want to work here. But again, it's very specific to your company. So no company values are the same. And it's important that with your founding team, you do define this. So it could be things such as autonomy, prestige, pay, job security, fun. Has anyone defined their values in their company already, just out of interest? Has anyone thought about what their values are? Nope. Okay, we'll move on. So codifying culture. So what I mean by codifying culture is the second half of that design process. So yes, you've defined your culture, but how do you embed that into your business? How do you make this so fundamental and part of your foundation that you can attract the right talent, and not only attract the right talent, but retain them as well? So key people processes to look at are recruitment, performance, reward, and onboarding. I'm going to talk through all of those different areas coming up as well. And then look at iconic actions of ways of working. So you need to make sure that everyone is engaged with this culture, that you have huddles, you have culture champions, you do mentoring. Especially as you grow and you bring on more people, this is key to making sure that that culture does actually stay within your business. The playbook is obviously, how do you do things in your business? What does that culture look like? And it's documented down. And then evolve and iterate, as I said. So consider how culture can be embodied, owned, and developed over time. So I'm going to talk about total reward now. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? We all good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I want to know to what extent you can create the culture, because when we think culture in societies, you actually don't create it. It's something that emerges from a group of people. So to what extent you can create the culture of a company, or it's something that appears based on the people on the founders? I don't know.
It definitely starts with the founders, but yes, you do create your own culture. The actions that you do and the way that you operate is the beginnings of that, foundations of that culture. And then as you grow, you look at things sort of, as I said, the people that you bring on board and the values, and then how do you actually reward and recognize your team? Again, how do you really build a high performing team, making sure that there's regular feedback as well. All of these actions create your culture. If you have a business where you don't communicate properly, you don't do any performance reviews or one-to-ones, you don't offer any benefits other than the salary, that's all contributing to your culture or lack of culture, and people will leave. People these days, they want to join businesses more than just the money. Like, money is obviously one part, but it's much more about sort of the purpose, being impact driven, and actually, really kind of seeing the rewards for the work that they're doing. I mean, I think we all can agree, you spend so much time in work, we really want to sort of enjoy it and make it as impactful as possible. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So talking about total reward, do any of you have any sort of reward options for your employees? And I guess sort of by reward, do you know what I mean, or what are your thoughts around this part? Anyone? Don't know if it's this chat. Sorry, I haven't got the chat box up. Oh, my bad. Okay, fine. So I'm just going to do the busting the myths around total rewards. So best places to work aren't always the most commercially successful. Human capital is an investment, not an expense. It's all about the workforce experience. Millennials want more than money. Benefits have gone a la carte. So there's no one size fits all, and you can pick various things depending on the type of people you're looking to attract and the research that you do around sort of, I guess, that talent branding and talent attraction as to, what are they looking for from a company other than just salary. So what we believe at Astrolabs and Astrolabs Talent is you provide meaningful work, you create a winning culture, understand your demographic. So again, as I said, do your research, really kind of know what the target audience is and what they're looking for. Take note of what's going on in the world, what are your competitors doing, what are they offering. Do surveys, with employee engagement surveys with the team that you have already, like what matters to them, because ultimately you've hired them based on the fact that, well, hopefully that their values align and you want more people that have that same, those same kind of values. So what matters to them, and then use that for further sort of talent attraction campaigns, and then be transparent. Communication is often one of the main issues within the workforce and why people leave. Transparency is the key to having a very successful team as well.
I have a question, Danny. How often do you suggest that startups conduct like employee engagement surveys? Should it be done on an annual basis or a quarterly basis?
So actually, I believe in doing them at least every 6 months. It depends how quickly you're growing. So if you're going through rapid scaling, I probably recommend doing them every quarter. But otherwise, I would say every 6 months. 12 months is too long to actually identify any red flags and areas of improvement. Employee engagement surveys are really important for founders to do, and the leadership team to actually understand what is going on in your business and are people happy. And it's a sounding board for employees to talk, where they might not feel that they can raise that information directly. And it's only going to help, especially if you are bringing on more people, to actually identify where there may be gaps or rooms of improvement.
Yeah, thanks.
So reward components, I guess I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because we could talk for hours about it, about the different types, but it's split into kind of 5 pieces. So first of all, your policies across the company, what they look like, personal development. So people love continuous learning and development, and this is going to be how you retain your talent. They want to be constantly growing in their roles. Culture and environment, again, is super key to sort of, attracting and retaining that talent. Compensation, you do have to look at base pay, maybe cash bonuses and ESOPs. And then also things such as like other benefits, holiday, I put pension there, but that wouldn't work here, and healthcare perks, any wellness, other kind of additional benefits. And companies are getting quite creative with that area, especially now. So this is a case study I just wanted to show you of kind of how varied it can be and how creative. I'm not sure if you've all heard of Innocent Drinks. But Innocent is a drinks company that makes smoothies and juices and is a global company. They are known in the world for having one of the best cultures. And things that they look at when it comes to their sort of rewards is that employee opinions matter. So they do have the usual stuff. And this is how they do, this is their talent branding as well. So this is how they help attract the right talent. They offer flexible working, free breakfast, healthy stuff. So things like a yoga club, subsidized massages, company get-togethers, weekend away in the summer, party at Christmas, foundation scholarships, innocent scholarships. So they help people sort of maybe do courses that they want to do and or things that they've always dreamt of. Services to fruit. So obviously they are a smoothie and juice drink company, and then loads of free drinks, obviously. But I think, as you can see, you know, it's not your standard, okay, we're just going to offer a salary and a visa and your medical insurance. These are kind of the things that talent is looking for. And it's really important that you do start getting creative, and they don't have to be expensive things. I actually saw a research article once where it was people would rather take a pay cut on their base salary if they were given more on the benefit side around this, which was quite interesting because the benefits actually cost less than what the sort of higher salary would have been. So it is important to look at what you can offer. And I say it doesn't have to necessarily break the bank. So things for you to think about. So what do people value most from total reward? It will vary depending on the type of people that you are looking to hire. So it could be things such as bonus, equity, pay, perks. If you are giving equity, you know, how much equity do you have to give away? I have a figure here that the average company puts away 10% of their equity towards their options pool for their team, depending on sort of, I guess, what your funding looks like. But that's the kind of average in total. And then how much cash do you want to give away and when? This really should be based on company performance, individual performance as well, but really kind of when you're making profit as well. And agree a review schedule. So how could it change in the future? As you scale and grow, you might want to change these. The talent that you're attracting might value other things. So it is important, again, to do those surveys and also look at reviewing it as a team as well. So here I talk about talent branding. So where do you find talent? I know we have one that said, you know, they have the CV sent to them via email. Do any of you use any other methods to find talent at the moment? Okay, I'm going to talk through LinkedIn, networking, job websites. Yeah, so I always recommend startups to start off really going through their own network and going through their own referrals, but that will dry up at some point. Job websites over here don't tend to be the best, but I'm not saying that they're useless, but they just don't tend to have certain skill sets as well, and there's kind of niche skill sets. And then we have LinkedIn as well, which is good. But there's also other methods, you know, how do you get your brand out there? Why are people going to notice you? So even if you post a job on LinkedIn, why is that top talent going to apply to you and want to join your business? So your culture is your brand. I'm actually going to be doing a webinar on this after Ramadan, purely on talent branding, because I could, again, go into so much detail around this. And actually, I go into much more of the strategy of what you need to do. So this is just a high level overview. But the first one is why. So why would someone want to join your company? What sets you apart from your organization? Gather insight from current employees, and you know, why did they join you? Why do they like to work for you? Be authentic. So have a powerful purpose. What talent do you want to target? And then your talent branding strategy. So have a goal. Your crucial factor is your recruitment strategy. So who are you going to target? Who is your audience? What talent are you looking for? And really start looking at, okay, so how do we actually get in front of them? How do we make them want to join our business? What sets us apart? Do this with a data-first approach. So do surveys and feedback across talent and employees. Learn what you do well, identify gaps that need more attention, and put time into that. I see so many companies who, will post a job ad on LinkedIn and then they don't even have a careers website. They don't even talk about their culture, their values. These are the things that are going to start attracting that talent to want to join you. So you need to start really kind of putting the time in to invest in this now. But measure. Oh, yeah. Someone's going to say something?
Yes, I don't really understand the third one, like talent branding.
So yeah, that's fine. So this is more, okay, what is your recruitment strategy going to be? So what's your end goal? So let's say I want to hire front-end developers from a leading fintech company. This is just an example. So, okay, what are those developers wanting to see? They want to see why they would want to join your company. So what is your culture? So as I say in the image, your culture is your brand. So how do we get that out there for them to see? And then what content are we putting out there? What is it like to work for your company? Share videos. I go into talking about content, like set yourself up for success. Share your content, across social media, across the careers website, on your own website. Really kind of look at how can you attract these people. And we've just talked about all the things that talent are looking for. It is not just about, the salary. It's more about, okay, what impact can they have? So it's really kind of looking at how is this brand going to help your recruitment, and how is it going to help attract them? So you really need to kind of look at that whole structure. Does that help? Does that make more sense?
Yes, Miss. I want to say something.
Yeah, of course.
Like reading personal development books. Does that help to apply your culture in your brand?
I think the more self-awareness you have of you as an individual does contribute to defining your culture. And as I said, it really does go into the actions that you do within your business dictate that culture as well. So I personally read a lot of personal development books, and I found that they do help, especially ones around sort of, operating and sort of, how do you really kind of provide the best support for the teams that you have. Ultimately, we're here to support the growth of our teams as well. And for me, I've learned a lot of valuable things around these books, and I feel like that dictates a little bit about your culture as well, because ultimately, the feedback of your team and your employees is what's going to sort of get your culture sort of brand out there as well. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, good. And yeah, as I say, with this, it's not, you're putting content out there. Test what works, measure performance, measure that return on investment. Are you having a, shorter time to hire? Is your acceptance rate higher? Is the talent that you're hiring stronger? Really kind of look if it's working, and if it's not, just change it. It's about looking at how you're attracting the right talent and what message you're getting out there. As I said, I am going to be doing another webinar in a lot more detail around what you actually need to apply for all of those steps as well. And it doesn't stop there. So once you've attracted the right talent, it's so important that you create an onboarding plan for them. I can't stress this enough, that you make that onboarding process as smooth as possible. Not only will it maximize the productivity of new hires and get them up to speed faster, that they'll feel so engaged as well with the business. And this is also part of that culture embedment as well. Part of the onboarding plan should also include a session where you do talk about culture and values within the business as well. The reason also why it's so important is that 33% of new hires search for a new job in their first 6 months. And that's often because they aren't engaged, the culture's maybe not what it was supposed to be, they talk the talk but don't walk the walk. 26% of new hires leave within their first year, and the former employer's salary is the average cost of poor onboarding. So it doesn't take much to do, but it's really, really critical that you start thinking about an onboarding plan. And then also, performance management. I think companies start this too late personally, but it should be started really from the beginning. It doesn't matter the size of the team. People like feedback and 360 feedback and giving feedback to their managers of what ways are sort of what's working and what's not working. So really kind of have a look at what activities you can do to drive performance, because ultimately you drive performance, people will be growing, they will stay more, want to stay because they're growing and they can see their growth and the impact, but also their performance will increase. So it's going to help drive the business as well. So these are things such as, goal setting, having clear objectives, regular appraisals and one-to-ones. And that includes sort of getting that feedback, having training sessions, whether that's internally or going on external courses, and also that reward element as well. So yeah, that was it really. I've kind of summarized it in top tips. So going back to identifying the key capabilities that you need, what skills are you missing, what's going to help drive the business and have the most impact from sort of day one. Define your culture and values, decide on your rewards, build a strong talent brand, create a talent acquisition strategy where you'll use that talent brand to attract talent. Make sure that you have an exceptional candidate experience. Use data, look at what metrics you can use to not only survey kind of like what the talent is that you're attracting actually wants from a company, but also how you can measure your talent brand and how successful it is. Have an onboarding plan, put performance management kind of frameworks in place, and really be an advocate for continuous learning and development. And that will help you not only attract, but also retain and develop the top talent. So I hope that was valuable. And yes, is there anything that you would do differently after this session? Sort of what would you implement immediately that might have an impact? Oh, anyone?
Yes, I think we are we had the experience to hire some technical people, but what we did was to do it through, we outsourced the scouting and hiring process. It was just for a period of time, it was not full-time employees. But I think one thing that we didn't think about is about the creating the culture for for future employees. So this is something that we will have to start working on now, because I don't know, I have the feeling that it's not something that you just say it and it's done. It's deeper.
Yeah, and it does take time, and sort of you have to put that effort in to do it, but it will pay dividends. And it doesn't matter if you do attract the right talent, if you can't make them stay, it's a very costly exercise that not only from a money point of view, but also a business point of view, it's going to impact you achieving your goals and success.
What do you think about these companies? Sometimes they are also startups that do the scouting and do all the advertisement of the position, and they get you the people that you need. You just interview the candidates, and that's it. What do you think about this? Because we did that. We did that, and it worked very good. Like we were very happy with the results. But I don't know, what do you think about that?
So I'm actually biased. So part of Astrolab's Talent, we actually do that recruitment and sourcing for companies. So we help companies to find the right talent, especially businesses that don't have an internal talent acquisition team or HR team, and really kind of helping, I guess, take that off founders and sort of companies that are looking to grow. It is a full-time job to source for that talent and identify the right talent. And it can be quite time consuming. The one thing I would make sure though is that if you do work with an external party and a recruitment company, is that they understand your values and your culture. Otherwise they could present CVs to you and people to you that aren't the right fit.
Okay, good.
Good. Anyone else? I think yeah, we've got questions. Rishabh, any questions from you?
None from me at this stage, but anyone else has any questions? I see Ahmed has unmuted. Ahmed?
Yeah, yeah. I'm concerned, like, if you can, like, remind us, like, review us, like, so quickly with the, like, steps of, like, the main ideas of this lecture.
Yeah. So if I go back just to the top tips, I think these are the things that you really need to start looking at. And I've done them in the order that you should really kind of think about things as well. What sort of stage are you at the moment, Ahmed? Do you have
Number
a team
8.
sort?
Number 8.
Number 8?
Yes.
Okay, so do you have any kind of onboarding plan at the moment?
No.
Okay. I'm going to be doing a session around onboarding at some point, so I can invite you to that webinar. But I can also send you some tips to get started with straight away after this as well.
Okay, Miss. Okay, Miss. How can I get into webinar exactly?
I will. We can, Rishabh. We can send invites, can't we? Once it's confirmed.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So we'll make a note. It's not going to be until after Ramadan. We're just creating the calendar at the moment.
After Ramadan?
Probably, yes. But we might be able to try and squeeze it in soon. We're just creating the calendar at the moment. So, but it is a topic that we want to do.
Okay, that's so nice.
We're also doing the talent brand around sort of talent acquisition as well, and how to attract the right talent through your talent brand. So we have that one definitely coming up, and onboarding as well. Anyone else?
It was very helpful for us. Thank you.
Good, I'm glad. And yeah, as I say, we'll invite you to the other webinars where we go into more detail on some of the specific areas. So with a lot more kind of, I guess, objectives and outcomes for each bit.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else?
There's a question in the chat, Danny.
Yeah.
How can we hire the best talent regardless of culture and values and make them successful like EPL teams as a startup?
I would say it's very hard. I mean, the only way you can really hire talent regardless of culture and values is if you were maybe doing it on like a freelance basis where it's not a long-term employee, but people, you know, just put yourself in their shoes. You know, you spend so much time at work, you want to go to a place that you enjoy, and that is the culture at the end of the day. You don't need to go into necessarily the science of what your values are necessarily, but you do need to assess them to make sure that they are aligned. I think it's quite difficult to hire the best talent if they don't have that. But if you're also asking how to hire it regardless, and sort of where, you need to find out where the best talent is. So do your research globally and locally of, where does this talent look like that you want to hire for your team, and even like, what do they want out of the company? Again, it all ties back to the culture and values. So yeah, it's hard to say regardless of kind of that part.
Okay, any more questions? No?
I
Awesome.
have a question.
Yes, Reem, go ahead.
Okay, so what would you advise? Would you advise a startup that's starting to grow? So now we're at 6 to 8 people. The team is like 6 to 8 people, and we feel like if we grow further, we're gonna lose that culture and lose that sense of team and that we have right now. So what would you advise on that, and how can we grow without losing that sense?
I think you need to define what that culture looks like and create that culture playbook. So what is it that makes your environment unique, that people want to work, and you don't want that to become diluted? Once you identify that, you can then start putting in touch points throughout your whole process, whether that be the recruitment process, the onboarding, performance of, what makes that culture unique. And then that's how, again, assessing people during that recruitment process, of are their values aligned in that culture, is super critical. So I definitely start looking at defining it sort of as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Last chance, guys.
Thank you so much. Ramadan Kareem to everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Danny. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, everyone else, for taking out time for the session.
Thank you, Danny.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you again.